Welcome those of you watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, those of you watching on LinkedIn, those of you here in our Zoom room live audience for our inner circle. We're so happy that you're here. Welcome to the show. Are we ready to rise? We're going to have a really, really exciting time today. We're going to have two exciting pieces happening today, and you are in for an enormous treat because we're going to bring up an incredible guest that I'm going to tell you all about, the amazing, the beautiful, the brilliant, the talented Claudine, who is going to share with us. We're going to dive into a really crucial topic for any thought leader who's writing a book, which is mastering the book cover. How important are book covers? How do you make a differentiating, breakthrough, magnetic book cover that's going to have people who both know you and have never heard of you want to grab that book, want to read the book, whether it's seeing it on a digital screen, seeing it in a bookstore. And in order to help us really talk about the mastery of book cover design, we are so lucky and so incredibly lucky to have Claudine here today. And team, if you'll bring Claudine up, great. Okay, Claudine, I need to let everyone know some things about you because you are singularly, I will say, in the world, one of the leading top people in book cover design. You have done some incredible things in the field, and I want everybody to know how lucky we are to have Claudine. So Claudine is here. She's a graphic designer specializing in publishing, marketing, branding, website, and even music design. And Claudine's been a published art director for 30 years. Claudine, you've designed book covers and interiors for 6 Nobel Prize winners. From Nobel Prize winners to emerging authors, people for their very first book that have never written a book before, all the way to Nobel Prize winners. And you've worked for Random House, Harcourt, Rolling Stone magazine. You've designed over 850 book covers and even featured covers for authors like the Dalai Lama, President Jimmy Carter, Virginia Woolf, Herman Hesse, T.S. Eliot, and Pope John Paul II. Can everyone do the Home Alone like this? We do this with our faces like, oh. Claudine, thank you so much for being here.
You are so sweet. Thank you for this absolute honor to be with you. I truly appreciate it. This is wonderful.
Tell us all how to pronounce your last name so that we have it locked in.
Mansour.
Perfect. I want everyone to get it. Mansour. All right, Claudine Mansour. So I want us all to pronounce it right, not Mansour. No, I just Claudine Mansour. Claudine, we are so incredibly lucky. I'm so lucky to have the chance to work with you as the cover designer for Thought Leader Academy Publishing. You are going to be doing all my book covers. You're doing our current thought leaders who are in Thought Leader Academy Publishing, doing these extraordinary covers. We just had Carol Looks hit the bestseller list last month. We've got, Tanya's gorgeous cover. We were up in the Times Square billboards. Much of your work was blasted all around New York City and beyond last week. So what we want to get into today, do you want to just let everyone know what drew you? Why book covers? Like why do you feel the passion that you clearly have for this?
To be very honest with you, it was completely by accident.
I love it.
I was interning at Rolling Stone magazine when I was in college. The art director there was a professor of mine. And after graduation, he asked me to stay on. I was working there for a little bit. And I was told of a job opportunity at Random House to assist one of the art directors there, art director of Times Books, which is a now defunct nonfiction imprint of Random House. And I said, sure, okay, I'll go for the interview. And I got the job, and I didn't think much of it. And once I was in book publishing, I was completely hooked. And it just really, I love books. I love the physicality of a real book in my hands. Of course, I do Kindle now as well too, but
Yeah.
There's still something about a book in my hands, which is just very special. And like I said, I was hooked, and just one thing led to another, one position led to another. So
It's
really,
amazing.
fate.
Well, isn't that wonderful how like life finds you, and you were called to this path, and we don't always know. Most of us probably, when we wrote a essay in third grade, what do I want to be when I grow up? I would doubt many of us are doing whatever we might have written exactly. Maybe,
Right.
of course, there are inklings there of our, the essence of it, but probably not like what the role is my
Right.
guess. We could take a poll and see. So, Claudia, what I want to talk about today, this is exciting. When the pandemic was happening, like many of us, I was sitting around feeling like I need a project, not that we need another, but I wanted to do something inspiring. And so I decided to do a poll of bookstore owners from all over, mainly North America, but we did open it up around the world. And we really talked about book titles. We did a big thing about like the title and like what's important to a bookstore owner when they order books or sell books, or what do we need to know about titles. And we did this really fabulous poll, and everyone griped. The bookstore owners talked about what they can't stand in certain titles and what they need in titles to be ordered, to really compellingly sell. And of course, the topic of the cover design is intrinsically linked in certain ways because the title and the cover design play off each other. What I never got to do was talk to someone like yourself who was a real expert at book cover design. I was talking to the sellers, right? The bookstore owners. And I think we polled like 2,000 across the country, and we had some really interesting insights that I've shared in previous shows and things. What I want to talk about today, Claudine, is overall, what do we all need to be thinking about in terms of cover design? Like, if we had to say, what are the most important one, two, or three things to be thinking about? Because, authors kind of fall in love with their own vision,
Right.
but you're thinking about it from the standpoint of both the fine art and also the reader,
Right.
the bookstore owner, digital and, hard copy. And then I also want to talk, that's going to be part one. And then I do want to talk about trends as we're kind of completing a year and going into a new year. I just want to see, is there anything kind of emerging that you're seeing in the book design, cover design world that we should know about? So let's start with the first part. Like,
Okay.
if you were talking, you're talking, when our authors come in, I'm going to be bringing you my manuscript soon. I'm finishing this book. By God, you guys, by Thanksgiving, this book is going to be done or almost done. And so someone sits down with you, they're bringing you the book. What are the most important things that you want us as the authors to know?
Okay. So first of all, let me begin by giving my 2 cents on exactly what a cover is and what it is supposed to do.
Great.
So a book cover is meant to attract the attention of the potential reader. It is meant to say, pick me up, I'm interesting. And once you get someone's attention, then they pick it up and they inspect it. Oh, this looks like I might want to buy it. Really, the job of the book cover is almost finished at that point. It is to grab the attention. What does a person usually do after they have a book in their hands, or if they click on it on Amazon? They turn it around and they read the back cover copy.
Yep.
So the book cover is your number one marketing piece. So attention needs to be paid to that book cover. So if your neighbor's, grandson is a graphic design student and he tells you he can do it for, a fraction of the cost as a professional book designer, just keep in mind that if that's going to happen, unless he's, a prodigy, if that's not going to happen, you need to be prepared for possibly lower book sales. Your marketing piece is so important. It needs to compete with a sea of thousands of other covers that have been professionally designed. You are competing with the big houses. You are not competing with only the self-publishers or only the small publishers. It's everyone together. There's, all kinds of fish in the sea, and they're all swimming together. So
Yes.
that is number one. And because your back cover is your second marketing piece, it's basically free advertisement. Here's the back cover, use me. That copy needs to be really important. It shouldn't be just a 5 minute, oh, let me just throw in a quick description. It needs to be very thoughtful. Let's start with a headline on the top to, captivate the potential buyer. Let's have a short descriptive paragraph. Maybe we have some quotes on the back ad that, from someone famous or an expert
Yep.
in that field. And, let's prove to the audience that the author knows what it is they're writing about. Maybe there's a short author bio and a small author photo just to, some people like to connect with the author. Some people like to connect with the author photo. Not everyone likes that. That's totally fine. There are no rules here. But again, that is your marketing piece. That
Mhm.
is your second main marketing piece. And the rest of your marketing campaign for your book, should you have one, really flows and stems from the cover. So that is the look, that is your book's logo in a way.
Yeah.
And that is something that really needs to be paid attention to. So, what one would need to know about the cover is really it needs to be attractive, it needs to be alluring, it needs to be exciting. It needs to be quiet, but it could be quiet and exciting at the same time. It doesn't have to be loud to be exciting. It could
Mhm.
be subtle, but there's just, ooh, maybe there's an air of mystery about it, or maybe it's just plain beautiful. Maybe it's just, the connection between the cover image and the cover title don't seem to make sense, but wow, that is an interesting combination. Or if it says, the brown box, and then you have a picture of a brown box, that's not that exciting. You don't have to say and show it. You can sort of mix it up a little bit, but to do something really interesting and oh, that looks like something I may want to read. So that's definitely number one. Is it's got to be exciting.
Let's
Um,
pause there on number
yeah,
one because it's really important and really
sure,
useful.
sure.
I want everybody, I know a lot of you are going to be taking notes and sort of thinking about this as you envision. Obviously, if you work with someone like Claudine, if they're working with you, it's a whole different thing because you're there guiding this process and you're already going to be thinking this way. But just for everyone to even start envisioning your book cover, I've heard two things that reinforce exactly what you're saying, Claudine, that aren't just for the book world, for images in general, any kind of marketing image. And look, your book cover is a marketing piece. You just told us the job of the book cover is to break through.
Right,
Remember, we have a 2.9-second attention span barrier right now in the world with adults. So you got to break through the 2.9-second attention span and hook someone's attention for the book. And what doesn't work, like you said, is it's called the brown box and you have a picture of a brown box that creates no interesting, but what I hear you talking about is juxtaposition, right? So so when I hear about imagery, you either the two things we want to do that you're talking about, Claudine, I just want to kind of pull out for everybody is one, you are creating the emotional feeling that the person wants from the book. Like you said, that could be quiet, it could be peaceful,
right,
it could be exciting, it could be bombastic, like it could be a lot of things. But what's the emotional tone of like sort of the transformation of this book? You want that reflected in the book cover because that's going to create that interest, right? And then also to use the C's that people talk about. It can be confusion, contradiction, curiosity. Like when we think about these C's in marketing, what for imagery, particularly like visual imagery, Claudine, I think that so is what you're talking about here. If it's called the brown box and you have a woman on a bicycle, like with arms free, it's like, ooh, is she getting out of a box? Was someone trying to keep her in a box? Like what we're curious. Or
right,
we
right,
might be confused. Why is it called the brown? But we're something. And if you get any of the C's, curiosity, confusion, contradiction, and there's two more that I'm not remembering right now. Those are the main ones. You're already like you're creating an attention grab,
yeah,
right? Okay,
exactly,
so take
exactly.
us. Okay, now what else? So we get to. It needs to be alluring. It needs to be attractive. It needs to create some kind of gravitational
Right,
pull that it evokes something.
exactly. And so, two things about that. First of all, sometimes after the whole process, after all the editors and your team, your publishing team have weighed in, sometimes the brown box is really the only thing that's going to make sense on the cover. That will happen once in a while. If that's the case, it's going to be the most beautiful brown box you've ever seen. It's going to be, designed and displayed with the exact tone of the rest of the book. And it's just going to be a
Mm.
magnificent brown box. That happens sometimes. So we have to be prepared for everything, right? So the second thing is you're not going to please everybody. Everyone has an immediate and deep reaction to something visual. It's a very emotional reaction. Um, you are not going to please everyone. It's just as simple as that. You get in a room with, 10 of your publishing team. If they're all on board with a cover, that's amazing. If they're all on board with a title, that's amazing. Everyone is going to have a different opinion. Everyone has their own experience and their own aesthetics and their own background to which they're coming to the meeting to share with. So to have a unanimous decision, sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So just be prepared for that. Another thing that as an author you need to be prepared with is an open mind. How many times do people tell me, oh, I don't have a creative bone in my body, please just do whatever you think is right. That's lovely. That's wonderful. I have some authors who tell me, I've always wanted to have a giraffe on my cover and the type should be in blue.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give that a shot, sure, because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the author is happy. Of course, you always want to have a happy author, and you want to do the job well. Um, but what if a giraffe really isn't the best thing on a cover?
Sure.
So whenever I do have an author who tells me what they're interested in, and I always like to get that out up front. If
Yeah.
you have a designer that you're working with, tell them everything at the beginning. Don't tell them a month down the line about your giraffe idea, because then
Yeah.
you've just, wasted a lot of time. So I always offer my own solutions as well. I'll give you the giraffe, but I'll give you, three or four other options as well. So you do have to be open to the possibility that the giraffe may not work.
Yeah.
And just, be honest with yourself, be honest with the team, and, just be prepared for something like that.
Mhm.
So just going into it with an open mind, having some flexibility. Cover copy is very important. You were talking about titles.
Yeah.
Sometimes the title is poetic and it just, evokes a certain feeling or a mood, or it resonates with someone in a different way. Even on nonfiction, that could work out. Sometimes you have titles which are just bare bones and factual and to the point,
Mhm.
and sometimes that works too.
Yeah.
Um, the relationship between the title and the subtitle is very important. Not only do they work together, but they work together with the cover. It's really important that I have complete cover copy before I start a cover design, because if the title changes, that could completely
Oh,
change my cover idea. It also could not. There have been, times where, all right, that title works just fine, but not all the time. So let's be as correct as we can from the beginning. Let's take that extra week, focus, and really come up with our title, our subtitle, and get that going. And everything needs to work together. It is a puzzle, and all the pieces need to sort of jive together.
yeah, to make that final picture, the
Yeah.
title, the colors, the imagery, if there's photography, if there's illustrative graphics, if it's just typeface, it's like you're using, like, I think of Brene Brown's Daring Greatly. They really worked with, like, putting the words on their side and doing a sort of ombre, sort of just, it was really about the words and creating a design out of the words.
Yeah.
So what do you like any trends in terms of book design, or is it like, no, it's always about the essence of this book, what makes this book unique? Like, just curious if you think there are any, sometimes industries do go through trends, right? There's trends, and we certainly see it in book genres. If anyone has been I'll just couch it in this, Claudine, and then have you tell us some trends to look for if there are any, or if there's not, that's good to know. In book types and genres, you saw a trend 10 years ago of suddenly the supernatural romance, right? It was the Twilight books, and everyone, that became a whole genre, whereas that would have been sort of this outlier. Now is like a whole section of the bookstore, right? Or you saw suddenly those sort of irreverent, you are a badass, the subtle art of not giving an F. Like, it became like the kind of swear title, like that sort of irreverent personal growth trend happened. There's all kinds of, versions of this. So, Claudia, anything we want to keep in mind for trends?
So that is a tricky question, and you even mentioned it yourself. How much do you want to pay attention to that, and how much do you not? So it's the balance between um, keeping with the trend or what I like to call just being current and being relevant to today's market,
Okay.
and also doing what's best for your book. At the end of the day, what doing what's best for your book is really the bottom line, and that's what everyone needs to focus on. At the same time, it does need to look current and fresh and not dowdy. I had an author about 3 years ago who we were having a hard time, and I said, I usually ask authors at the beginning of the process to maybe send me covers that they like. I just want to sort of feel their aesthetics and see what there is that they're attracted to.
Yes.
And she didn't do it for whatever reason, and then finally she did it. She sent me two covers. One was the most boring thing you've ever seen. It was about 40 years old. I kid you not.
Oh no.
And there is nothing fresh and modern and trendy about this whatsoever. So right away, I thought, oh goodness,
Yeah.
we have quite a battle here. So right now, there is a big trend in fiction for sure with illustrations. People are using a lot of beautiful illustration.
Right.
That's great. The problem with small publishers and individual authors is those illustrations are costly.
Sure.
And those are pretty much reserved, again, generally speaking, for the larger houses that do have those budgets.
Sure.
So either we can, take some stock imagery and put it all together. I had a client just last week say, "Oh, I hate Shutterstock." Okay, Shutterstock gives you images for $10.
Right.
Back in the day, I used to have to, you know, um, contract images for about $1,000.
Right.
And $10 is pretty good,
Yeah.
but it's not so much the image, it's what you do with it.
Totally.
That's going to be your basis. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to integrate it in a bigger piece of art? Are you going to layer it with other images? Are you going to, just have it um, interact with your typography? How is that all going to work? So we can do some illustration with some stock art. Sometimes it works great, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's a combination of that and photography. So the art cost is definitely a factor.
For sure.
Another trend that's big and has been big is the use of sans serif fonts.
Mm.
A lot of people are using sans serif, and that's great, but I love my serifs, and I'm still going to use them. And at the end of the day, again, it's what's best for the book while keeping current and relevant.
I love the distinction you're making between a trend versus being current and relevant, because I think for all of us, we're about, everybody in this community, everyone listening, my hunch is you're about authenticity, right? And so sometimes you're gonna, as people like Kelly Roach say, zig when other people zag. If the big trend is everyone's doing illustrations, it could actually be great for you to not do an illustration and break out in your. I like going to the bestsellers in my niche every time I finish a book before I meet with cover designer. And I go through and see like what's the trend in the books of the last 2 years that did the best in my genre. And then often I will come at it with the idea to go completely. It's like, God, there's so many orange covers. So I'm not going to do an orange cover. Instead of thinking I'm going to do an orange cover,
Right.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
if the women's wealth books are 90% orange, my one is going to be a different one, right? That kind of thing. So I think it's
Absolutely.
good to know current and relevant. And then, like you said, not to be dowdy or dated. I think that's the difference. You've all seen, they'll re-release Pride and Prejudice that's been around since the late 1800s, but
Right.
they'll do a cool modern cover for it, or same with even Shakespeare's, plays as Penguin re-releases all that stuff at different times. So I think it's about, authenticity, like you said, what's right for the book, but also relevancy and currency more than trend, because the book is a legacy piece. It's going to live way beyond our lifetimes. That's what's so beautiful about what you do, Claudine, is bring these legacy pieces, these masterpieces in and give them the cover they deserve, for all the hard work that everyone here is doing in writing your books. And you're really matching that with an exquisite and just world-class cover design. But I think relevancy and currency is good to either so you can differentiate or so that you can tap in and do your authentic version of some particular trend. So I really love that distinction that you've brought to us. And I think, like you said, cost is important. Are you like if you're, a celebrity and the publishing house is happy to spend, tens of thousands of dollars on an illustrator, fine. If you're a emerging thought leader, and Claudine, you've worked from everyone from household names to brand new people in their niche, then it's like what's going to work. And what I love is you collaborate and really draw out not just the author's vision, but you take us somewhere beyond. Like you said, they think it's a giraffe with blue typeface, and then you show them another possibility and they might fall completely in love. And that certainly happened to me with my fiction collection, Ghost House, which I didn't know you then, so I didn't get to work with you on. But what I loved is that I just knew I wanted something very atmospheric. And it's a very weird book. It's feminist ghost stories. It's very odd. It's a very strange, sort of collection, but it's really, women's empowerment, like all the stuff is. And the designer came back with this just exquisite, this womanly, couldn't tell, is she underwater? Her hair is flowing. It's very mysterious and magical and moody. And I was like, that's it. I don't need to see another thing. But I never could have gone to a designer and said, get this woman who's sort of underwater with blue looking at, I would never have even thought to do that because I didn't even have that. So I think the open-mindedness that you've pointed us to of, if you can get to the essence, and then here's some examples. Claudine, is there anything else? I know we're about at our time, and you have a lot of covers. I know you're working on a lot of books right now. Is there anything else you want everybody to know as they're writing the book, as they're envisioning their cover? You've given us some great things, like don't come to you or any other designer before you've given this that really good thoughtfulness and visioning so that it can be a great collaboration and an efficient partnership. Anything else you would love us all to know that would make your life and the other book designer, cover designers out there's lives better?
The other thing, and actually you already mentioned it, is do your research. It
Mm.
is so important to look at the other books in your category, in your genre. Let's say if your book is going to be on a table, what other books are going to be on that table, selling as a group, for example. I have so many people say, oh, well, there is no competition. There are no other books like mine.
Yeah.
That's great, but it's still going to need to be sold next to something.
Right.
Do your research. It's like going to a party. You want to know what the dress code is
Mm.
because you want to know what the event is like. You want to fit in. You don't want to, stick out like a sore thumb, but you do want to stand out. Stand out while being relevant and while being appropriate. So it's really important to know where you're going.
Love this because the book needs to be your personality. It's the transformation in to loop us all the
Right.
way around to the beginning. But it's like if you're a fun, funny, big personality, you don't want a dainty, teeny, muted, earth tone
Right.
probably cover, right? You just want to
Right.
like, woo. So everybody, authenticity, open-mindedness, do your research, think about currency and relevancy versus trends, not getting caught up in a trend because a trend's going to pass anyway. And this is a legacy piece. And then really understanding that the purpose of the book cover. What I'm hearing from you today, Claudine, is the purpose of the book cover is to get the attention and to
Absolutely.
earn the attention for someone to flip or scroll, whether it's on screen or in a
Right.
bookstore, to
Right.
read the book.
Right.
That's
And if you as an author do not have an idea, please don't fret. That is not your job to come up with a cover theme. That is your designer's job. If you do happen to have an idea, wonderful, share it with your designer. But please don't feel pressured or obliged to do that whatsoever.
Claudine, I'm so grateful to you. I want everyone to go www.claudinemansour.com. You can all check out if you want to see. I feel like this conversation is making me hungry to look at all your gorgeous covers. So everybody head over. We'll share that in the show notes. We'll share it here in the live audience. You can go to, and it's on the screen right now, Claudine's website. You can see these gorgeous, gorgeous covers that she's done, again, from everyone from popes to the Dalai Lama to people with their very, very, very first book. And we are so, again, the level of honor and gratitude I feel to get to have myself and our authors here at Thought Leader Academy get to do their covers with you. It's just beyond, it's truly beyond a wildest dream to get to work with someone like you. So thank you. Thank you for what you do and how you bring our work into the world and help us grab that attention and make the difference we came here to make.
Sarah, that is so nice of you. The pleasure is all mine, believe me. You are a wonderful, wonderful person to work with. Everyone, Sarah is such an expert. and just trust her. She knows exactly what she's doing. And I couldn't be luckier to be with you. So thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Well, I'm very quite sure we'll have you back for another episode where we might do one where we pull up some covers. Would you all like that if we do a second, a part two at some point where we get to like pull up some covers and maybe without throwing anyone under the bus, talk about maybe what doesn't work on covers that you see in the marketplace. And then we could do, because I think that would be really fun as well to do some like a visual breakdown. So if you're open to it, we'd love to have you back again. And do some more cover, maybe some cover makeovers, even like what you would do, different. Like if I got my hands on this book, thing I did. I know, Audrey, you're here and Claudine just did your gorgeous cover that's coming out in
Oh, hi,
January.
Audrey.
Yeah. So thank you again, Claudine. We'll have you back. I'm so grateful you could make time for us today. And yeah, our audience is saying here, I've bought many books just because of the cover. Ditto.
Oh, hi, Rosalind.
So, ditto,
Senior.
ditto, ditto. So everybody, are we inspired? I want everyone to think about one thing you're taking away from this conversation, whether you're just starting to conceive of a book in the next year, those of you that are in the process, what's one action you're going to take today that is going to help you be a powerful collaborator on your book cover when the time comes? Or for some of you, you're finishing your book like me. I'll be meeting with you, Claudine, in December. So I'm so excited. All right.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Amazing. So everybody that wants to stay on, because we are going to move into this, we're evolving. The whole season that we're in is visibility. And what is visibility with your book? The first thing that's visible is the cover, right? We know that that's what we've been talking about and as we're returning for this particular moment together, what we want to shift into here is moving into talking about like visibility in general. I've been talking for months that I had I'm going to say revelation. It shouldn't have been new news, but for me, I was hit so strongly over the summer with that visibility is the most important thing for all of us as thought leaders to be focusing on. Visibility for our book covers and that repetition of the cover that's going to gravitate, visibility for what we do in the world, visibility in front of new audiences. We've done many, many different initiatives this year. We did a viral visibility accelerator. We did a viral visibility challenge. We have done many different things around visibility. And I want to talk about like what opens up for us when we choose to conjure up the courage, the investment of resources, because usually visibility involves either our time or our money or both, meaning we got to spend the time to pitch the speaking engagements or go give the talk or put out the social media post or film the video, make the book. Visibility is something that we invest in. And I think it's the most important thing because if we're only talking to this many people, we can only have this much impact and make this much income, right? And so many of us are at the faucet is so turned so tight that there's a little trickle of what we can create versus we want to open up Niagara Falls over the next year. So visibility, I realized, was the single most important thing in the work I'm doing in order to reach the people I'm here to serve, in order to grow the vision of our mission and work. And I'm guessing that's true for almost every one of us that's in this conversation. So what I wanted to do, we got so many wonderful messages and emails. Last week, 17 of us were in New York City, 17 thought leaders, myself and 16 other of our Thought Leader Academy clients and community were together in New York City having our books, right? The books that which Claudine designed the covers for, up on billboards in Times Square. And I wanted to allow a couple of our thought leaders who got to have this experience and said yes to being visible in that very literal way, like up in lights on a huge billboard, but also the inner visibility, the courage that it took to say, I'm going to put my flag in the ground on that kind of a grand scale. And we just want to have a conversation about what has happened, what has opened up, what even just in the days, just in the hours and days after saying yes to a big visibility opportunity, because we're in vision time right now, right? We're going into a new year. We're going into a new, I feel like, 25, it's sort of a new quarter century. If you kind of look at numbers in that way. And so I think it's really powerful right now to think about what are the visibility experiences that you are calling in for 2025? Is it more speaking? Is it more virtual guest speaking? Is it more social media presence? Like those of you doing the Secret Visibility Project with us, that's starting this month, right? Where I'm going to grow a YouTube channel from scratch and show you what works, what doesn't, and what you can do on social media, right? So that's where I'm focusing visibility. So I want everyone to be thinking about what ways are you feeling called, or what would you love to have be the places and the experiences in which you are visible in the coming year. And then I want to talk about what happens when we show up and become more visible. See, I think a lot of us spend a lot of time fearing the negative things that could happen if we're more visible. And if you're on Zoom or on social, if you could put in the comments if that's true for you. Say me, if you feel a reason you haven't been more visible is you have fears about what if someone doesn't like it? What if someone judges? What if someone says something negative? What if someone posts a troll comment? What if I put something out and no one buys it? What if I host an event, no one comes? What if whatever it is, right? I don't know how. So we're getting a lot of us are resonating. And then Jen, you're feeling like your human design type as projector is about shining your light and letting others invite you in. So visibility is enormous for you, right? And I think that to me, Jen, I would in our audience talking about the time and energy to do it all is a fear. I think that's one of the fears in addition to like something negative could happen, just that I don't have the time or money, right? Those fears. And so what I want us to shift into as powerful leaders is to focus on what could happen in a positive way instead of the fears about time, money, and negative things that could happen, right? Because that's what's getting in our way. And Jen, I'm only saying that because you and I are the same. I resonate completely, and I've had those same ones, and it's what has stopped me from being more visible. So I want to share about those of you that were in I'll invite some of you to share what it's been like in the hours and couple of days since we were in Times Square together. And we'll post with the show notes some of the amazing pictures that happened. Some of you saw these on social media. I know Cheryl, I don't think Cheryl is on right now. I think she's coaching right now, but Cheryl Klein just booked 2 speaking engagements within 24 hours of people just seeing the billboard, and booked 2 new speaking engagements, high profile speaking engagements from showing up and being visible in that way. We had people talk about people reaching out and saying, I didn't even get your book yet. I just ordered the book, or I sending it to people with big audiences. So our thought leaders who were there, Jill, if you could just bring up I know Rosalind's on, Audrey's here, Julie and Pam. I'm just scrolling through Allison, Story. Who else is on here? I might not be able to see everybody. So let Jill know in the chat. Yeah. So let's talk about Julie and Pam, what's happened for you? You're already down in Miami at your next event. Do you want to do a quick share? Like, what was it like and what happened for you so far since just in the few days?
Well, first of all, it was super exciting. And I think we were both a little overwhelmed when we actually saw the book up on the billboard. That was insane. But our social media has blown up. It's crazy.
Yeah, we just feel so grateful, Sarah. I mean, I think we were like, wow, we're going to be on a billboard, as exciting as it sounded. And then we were just so shocked. And our friends and family and our social accounts, it was lovely. And I think, especially as midlife women, I think I'm receiving a lot of feedback like, wow, like, how do you do that in midlife? How do you, not reinvent, but really move into a whole new phase of life, which is beautiful. And yes, now we are in Miami. Tonight, we are part of an event that's the Miami Menopause Collective. There are 2, it was sold out tonight, 200, tomorrow at lunch, 100, tomorrow night, 200. And then we're co-hosting a private event Wednesday night. So, and that just emerged, and everybody, now that we were on the billboard, it's like, wow, it was just, it's fantastic. And honestly, tonight there are so many VIPs, and now all these VIPs just followed us on Instagram.
It's crazy.
Like 1.1 million followers, because we're connected with all these women now in the midlife movement. So we're meeting the producer, and we've been in conversation with the producer of the M Factor, which is an incredible documentary, which is which we're helping to host tonight. So,
and then we're hosting our own 2 showings in December, and we're going to host a couple more showings in January. So, It's
Yeah.
It's a
crazy.
road show. It's a
Yeah.
road show.
Road
New
show.
York City, this is your tour, and so a lot of you that want to do book tours or documentary tours, like with Julie and Pam are doing their book is part of the greater movement with the M Factor and the documentary and hosting and seeing this. I know everyone's like, where are these events happening? So we're going to post in the show notes. That's why we want to do this. So we can post, links to everybody. You can see what everyone's doing. And congratulations to you both. And, I'm so grateful you spoke into, there's this idea that as women age, we're supposed to be less visible. And I'm not allowed to swear because we're simulcasting in a lot of different platforms right now, but I think everyone knows what I'm going to say to that. That's going to get it big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Hell no. We get to be more visible, more powerful as we age, as human beings, not just, so thank you for being leaders in this. Thank you for breaking the cycle of invisibility of women in
Yes.
life and beyond. That is
Yes.
and giving people this chance and you stepping up, because it's easy to just say, oh, I won't take up space. I'm not going to put myself on a billboard, like there's all that mind trash as
For
it
sure.
called. And you know what? The only way to combat that, the only way to overcome those cultural messages that are complete BS and do not serve our society at all is, I think, to do the opposite. And you put yourself up on the billboard. So
And
congratulations.
we owe you a debt of gratitude for showing us a vision and holding the space for us. Truly.
Yes, Sarah,
Truly.
there's no way we would have done this without you. So
Yeah.
it's extraordinary, and you have been the wind under our wings.
Mhm.
And you are part of this, midlife movement too.
You bet.
So we're all in it together. So yeah,
it together.
more visibility. So thank
So
you.
we're going to
We
keep
love you.
going. We're going 100xing our visibility. I know you all are. You're both are in that with me. So congratulations. Amazing. Mwah. So Rosalind, what was it like for you? We'll just do kind of a popcorn rapid fire. We've got, let's see, Rosalind, what was it like for you to be there?
So for me, I would like to speak to the personal.
Yes.
For me, it was, I did not realize this until afterwards, that it healed a trauma of little girls running away from me, and the experience of being a tribe, and everybody screamed with excitement. And it was so healing to know how we belong, not just in visibility outside, but to a group. And your group, TLA, makes it so that we become a tribe. And I felt it that day just as firmly as I did years ago when little girls ran away from me, and I didn't know they were running away from me. I ran after them until it happened. And I mean, I didn't even know I needed healing from that. But definitely in your 70s, people expect you to be on a rocking chair and stop, retire, whatever that means. And I'm just getting started, and who knows what will happen, but it feels so wonderful to be endorsed on social media. But really, particularly, it was you, Sarah, and the group that is your ecosystem that is phenomenal. And then everybody's part of it. It's not you're favored and you're not. And it's an experience for everybody. I wish for everybody to be so included. And it makes it easier to be visible when you have that community.
Yes, Rosalind, thank you. And I'm so grateful for your inner child. When I did the billboard the first time 2 years ago with one of my books, I sobbed and I didn't realize, I was like, why am I crying? And it had nothing to do with the book or being up. It was because my inner child had been so shamed for enthusiasm and passion and taking up space, and no one wants to hear from you and you're too much. And it was like this healing moment of her just like, you get to be big, you get to take up, and that allows everyone to do the same. Right. So thank you, Rosalind. Thank you. And we've got so much love in the chat. Some people are coming. I'm coming up at 72 and 69 and 70. And thank you, Rosalind. Oh, amazing. Congratulations.
Everybody. Bye.
Amazing. Audrey, what was it like for you and what's happened since? I mean, it's days old, so.
Yeah, it's days old. I posted something on Facebook and it got more comments, and all lovely. For those of you worried about non-lovely comments, so many comments, so many people saw it. It was just so amazing. And Being there, like I said to you, like, oh my gosh, before the day of or the day before, I kind of realized I'm like, so many people in this world, like, never even write a book. And like, I've written a book, and then like, even less people have it like up on a freaking billboard. So, like, and I remember, of course it was a photo shoot. So I was like, I said to I'm like, I need to look at it for a minute
Yeah.
because we're turning around, right? And I looked at it and I just got very, very emotional. And it was a proud moment. And I like to say it was inspiring, it was exciting, but it was also a little bit scary, right? Just a little bit scary. So, and then what happened after, I didn't expect either, is like working with you on a couple different occasions. First time, my first event with you, going to Italy with you, and now with this, it's just like internally, I felt an up level.
Mm.
Like, and it's hard to explain. It was just like a feeling of, okay, this is your next level. This is your next step. Like, and a transformation inside happened on that day that I didn't expect. And it was just so amazing.
And we don't even know, again, the ripples. Like, again, some things like
Yeah.
Julie, Pam, and Cheryl, had some very instant, but remembering that the ripple effects of being visible and being and showing people what's possible, right? None of us are doing this just for ourselves. We talk about Diana Nyad, who I talk about all the time, and she made the swim from Cuba to Florida for herself,
Yeah.
yes, but that's so everyone else, we all needed her to swim from Cuba to Florida. So the people following you and Julie and Pam and Rosalind and everyone who's out, we need to see someone who maybe looks like us or has a background from us, or who has gone through a challenge that we've gone through, or is at an age that we are. Do something bold, do something that breaks those cycles of silencing and oppressing and playing small. And so thank you for doing it. Thank you for being one of the,
Thank
the
you for
leaders.
organizing it. I've done so many things in the last year after being in your world that I never would have done. And this is one of them. So, like, I owe so much to you, and you were just a blessing in my life, Sarah.
Well, I'm excited, and this gets to be out there attracting people to your event coming up in the spring, Audrey. So it's only just beginning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing. Allison, how about you? What was it like for you? Any takeaways?
Well, it was a mixture of things. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I first started talking about this book with you in 2019, before the pandemic, when you were a much smaller business. And then we didn't really start working together for a couple of years because of, various things. So it was the culmination of that journey. And even though the book is not out yet, it felt in some sense like a delivery, like a real sort of tangible marking of a real arc of time that incorporates a lot of different things in that period of time. And it felt like it felt like a birthing to the next life cycle of this book.
Mm-hmm.
It really did. And on top of it, it's so funny, Rosalind. I so identify with this being bullied as a kid, because one of the people that's been nosing around on Facebook and has looked at this is my boarding school bully.
Oh,
Name keeps popping up. She doesn't know that I know she's looking, but I thought, God, isn't that so funny? The full circle of so many things so many years later. And then just the sheer joy of meeting people in real space and time, and running around New York with
yeah.
Julie. Just, all the loveliness that is a side note of the billboard. So I thank you very much for picking up the phone several times to me in your car, picking up your son in 2019.
Yes, I remember it, Allison. And
Yeah.
and if you haven't seen Allison's book cover, again, we're going to post we'll post a photo gallery so you can see all these beautiful thought leaders, their books and their billboards and what that was like. And Allison, the book cover you went with has your photo.
It does. I actually just reached out to Claudine. I just emailed Claudine.
Yes, while you're live on the Claudine, we need to
Yeah,
talk.
I did. I listened to your live and I was like, I'm going to email her right now.
Yes. And so Allison, that again, back to Rosalind and I speaking about this experience we had of sort of the full circle and the inner child and when I was stood next to you in New York a few days ago, what really a moment of many that struck me was when you said, well, now I know that has to be. I know that picture has to be there, right? It was sort of an affirmation. And so just for everyone listening, visibility doesn't have to happen only after the book is out, right? Some of our authors were there seeding the books so that you're creating desire and awareness in the marketplace, getting attention for the book as the book is going into completion and production and publishing. And some of us had books, like I did a book that was already out, which is great. And it can work both ways. Visibility, sort of like people used to say, there's no bad PR. And there really almost isn't even any bad visibility. And the reason I say that, Allison, is what you're modeling for me is that even if it's before the book is out, it's creating awareness. Even if it's someone says something negative, it's getting people to pay attention, because you can also tell when someone's a troll and someone's a hater or someone's a bully, and it'll make people gravitate and stand behind a leader sometimes, even more so. So thank you, Allison. Congratulations.
Thank you,
So
Sarah.
happy for you and all that's going to come from this.
Thank you.
If anybody else is on that I didn't see that was with us, I know Lori might be popping on in a moment, but I want to have a vision moment. Okay. Between now and the end of the year and even into January, we're going to be talking the vision, the vision, the vision, the vision. We're going to get out of the fear, out of the small thinking, out of the doing, and we're rising into vision. What is the universe calling forth? What's the big magic that is tapping you, that wants to come through you in 2025? And in what ways will you make that visible? That is the big question that I'm on the journey with you all on, that we're going to continue to explore from many, 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 many different angles. And if you have not already signed up to join us in the Secret Visibility Project, please make sure you do that right now. We are going to have a very special training on that next week on Monday, the 25th, before American Thanksgiving. And we are going to, if you want to be visible in any way next year, in 2025, on any social media platform, what you will learn in this experience over 90 days to come behind, very vulnerably and transparently, I am going to show you everything that I'm doing and show you what fails and what works and what I'm going to playbook it for you. And let's get you visible in the coming year. So if you are not already signed up for that, make sure you do that now so that you can join us and have this 90-day accelerator, right? It's a version of a visibility accelerator in a very special way. We all we must be more visible next year, because otherwise the only people that the people you're here to serve are going to be able to train with, transform with, invest with are going to be the people who are. It is going to come down to your willingness and your yes. You don't have to figure out how. That's what I'm here for. The team, we're going to learn together and experiment together. You don't need to know how, but we do, I believe, I rarely use the word need, but I do believe we need to give ourselves, to lock arms, like Rosalind said, and be a community and rise the visible, because people will invest with the 3 people they've seen most recently. That's just, it's been studied. There's research, the 3 people. Yeah, Martha, I'm adding something on the 25th. Any of you that are doing the project, we're adding just a bonus on Monday, the 25th, for everyone either interested in or doing the Secret Visibility Project. I want to set some homework. I want to get us in momentum to really rock into December really powerfully. So yes, that's just an extra piece, because I got some downloads in New York when we were there about some other pieces that are going to be really important to set this journey up for success. So I'm really excited to take this experience with all of you. And in the future, this is going to be a $3,500 course. You can do it for a fraction of that as part of our Thanksgiving gratitude experience, and just use the link there. And you can message the team to get the secret code. Okay. So visibility, it matters, whether it's your book cover or your book cover up on a billboard, or you being visible in your community, and you being visible in the social media platform of your choice. People are looking for help right now. They are looking for inspiration. They are looking for guidance. They are looking for solutions. They're looking for someone who's going to stand with them and not race to the bottom and be in fear with them, but is instead going to conjure up the power and the vision and the faith that no matter what is going on externally, that we can create the world that we want. So I'm sending you all love. Let's have a powerful week. Let's rise the visibility. Make sure you sign up for the Secret Visibility Project so we can go much deeper into this and really make it real. And I'm so excited for all of you who were up on the billboards and what's going to continue to open up for you. And as we had, who's going up next? Who's going to go up on a billboard next? Is that part of your 2025 vision? Claim it for yourself. Claim it for yourself. If that calls to you, it's not about the billboard and look at us. It is about showing up and breaking those false messages and those limiting ideas and standing to be the leader people need now. You've got this. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.